Hey guys, Tyson Popplestone here from relaxrunning.com. Welcome back. This is an awesome episode that I know is going to strike a chord with so many of you. I'm going to introduce that in just a sec, but if you didn't stop by last week, you wouldn't have heard that Relax Running has recently launched its brand new distance running membership. This is such an awesome resource. I know a few of you have already jumped on board from last week. We're still giving out some good deals to get the party started. If you haven't heard of it, the distance running membership that you can find at relaxrunning.com is what I wish I had when I was training to be a distance runner. It is essentially offering you the secrets of the best distance runners in the world. The even better news is that you get to dictate the questions that they answer. So there's a ever-growing video library of best marathon runners and distance runners answering your question about race day preparation, nutrition, recovery, anything you can think of that's going to contribute to your performance. These elite athletes answer. Every time we do a podcast, we sit down with some of the audience submitted questions, ask these guys what their perspective is. Just over time, it's becoming like I'm trying to offer you guys a PhD in running performance. You can go there, you can get very specific information. Then once you leave, apply it to your training. I know that when you have the chance to learn from the best in the business, it's going to radically change the way that you run. So I've already started watching through the library of this information and going, man, this is good stuff. So we are offering a 50% discount to Relax Running podcast listeners, and that price is going to remain the same forever, no matter how much the prices rise. If you enter the coupon code when you sign up, new members, you're going to save 50% on any of the options that you choose on, and that is going to be the same no matter how much content we get up there. And no matter how much the price increases. So make sure you snap that up really quick. The resource library is only a tiny part of what you're going to find over there. It doesn't matter whether you're an elite runner or you're a brand new runner trying to figure out how to train for your first marathon or train for your first 10K, or you've just got so many questions about, where to get started with running. Yeah, you're in the right spot. We are giving podcast members a chance to win a free membership as well. So if you want to go in the running to win a free membership, here's exactly what you got to do. Jump onto iTunes. Leave us a 5-star review to start with. Even if you don't think we're worth 5 stars, just do it because it's nicer than 4 or 3. But then leave us a comment. Leave us a little review. Tell the audience what you think about the podcast. What do you like? Who have you enjoyed? It helps us rate better on the podcast charts as well. And in return, hey, if we like it, we're going to be giving out a free membership. I'll announce that in the next week or two when I catch up on Run Talk with the Guru. So if you're interested in that, make sure you're heading over, leave a review and leave a rating and a 5-star review. Did that make sense? You know what I'm trying to say. Just go to iTunes, leave a 5-star review and a comment. Wow, I made that more difficult than it needed to be. Today, awesome guest on the show. I met Ben Buckingham just 2 Sundays ago. I went out to Eaglemont with his running group and did an hour 40 with them and smashed my PB for a long run in recent years. Ben's a world championship 3,000 meter steeplechaser. He's run 8:27 for the 3K steeple. He's just 10 seconds or 11 seconds outside the Australian record. But I'm really excited to watch him this Olympic year. I think he's got some time up his sleeve, and it was really good to pick his brain. What I think you're gonna like most about it, or what I really enjoyed about it, is the bloke's a full-time lawyer. So he works full-time as a lawyer in the city, and then he's training for the Olympics this year. So I often have people ask me, how do you balance full-time work with training? And man, what better bloke to speak to than a bloke who he's doing it, and he's doing it incredibly well. So we cover some great territory here. You're going to have to forgive me that we record this podcast in a communal area at my apartment block. And today there's a family having a barbecue outside, which is fine. You don't hear them for 98% of the podcast, but there's 2%. So about a minute worth where people walk through the room and have a little bit of a chat. So we've got some guests on the show. One stage, I've just got to point you out, I hope I sound like a nice bloke, an 88-year-old bloke goes to walk through and he trips over right in front of us. So I'm laughing because he was fine. He was completely fine. But it was until we get a private studio, you're going to have to deal with some of these little things. Also, I'm still learning how not to go on massive tangents when I go on a conversation. So Ben's a really straight to the point, very clear guy, and my random tangents have never been so cleared clear as what they are sitting next to a bloke like this. Anyway, I'm getting out of the way. Let me introduce today's guest, the great man, the steeplechase king of Australia. He would hate that I called him that, but that's what he is in my eyes. It's Ben Buckingham.
I reckon, but
I got a confession. It was so funny. So actually, the podcast that I'm recording, what's today? It's Sunday, the 1st of Feb today. So this isn't going to come out tomorrow. It's going to come out the Monday after.
Oh, that's good. So I've got a week to forget I did this. And we can find out. That's always better.
The podcast that's going out tomorrow, we recorded last Sunday after the run that I did with you, and obviously it was the first time that we had a good chat. And I was telling Maddie Williams, the podcast, like the co-host that's on here quite regularly, I was like, I met up with steeplechaser Buckingham. It's like, crap, and I completely blanked on your name. So it's so funny that you're on this week. After last week, I was like, is it Sam? Is it we were referring to you as Bucks for the whole podcast last week.
That's what most of my running mates call me. That's quite okay.
I shouldn't have said anything. Just let it come out.
Just keep rolling. Just call me Sam mid podcast.
So who is part of your group? So I was out there last week, and obviously there was I was a little impressed with the quality of athletes that I was out there with, because I've been doing a whole heap of my own sort of running just by myself, as I was saying. Like, I run from home around the 10, and last week when I rocked up, I saw yourself and Lukey Matthews and Maddie Clark and Sam McEntee, and as a running fan, I was in my element, and I think I got so carried away with the pace that I thought I was about to take up the marathon officially. But there's some great quality out there. Are they all part of the crew that you train with?
No, we're all. I mean, the nice thing with a Sunday is you can a lot of different groups can combine, and that spot in Eaglemont is quite a nice spot for, some of like Scrivo's group, like Lyndon was there, Luke and Sam obviously, and then like today, like Ryan Gregson was there, Jen, myself, a couple of the Irish guys like Sean Tobin, Paul Robinson, Joel Tobin White, a lot of the Melbourne Track Club guys that I train with like 3 days a week.
Yeah.
So it's a nice thing about Sunday. It's like the day to catch up with your mates and have a trot, and not necessarily with your standard squad.
Yeah.
One of my best mates, Sean Whitwell, was having a good chat to him today, and you just having a 100-minute chat on a Sunday. It's a great way to spend the time.
How is Big Whipper going? I honestly haven't spoken to him for years. Since I've found myself back in the running scene, I've heard his name come up a lot more, and I know he's a bit of a mover and shaker when it comes to like the qualifications. And what is he? Is he an agent now to a few athletes?
Yeah, no, because he works for Athletes Victoria. He does a fair bit of sort of media stuff himself on the side, and he's also become a qualified agent. He's got Brad Mathis at the moment, who just raced overseas in the in one of the indoor meets in Boston, New Balance. Ooh. And we've been mates since like 2012, so it was quite exciting, both of us just getting to go overseas together last year and just catch up in Doha and have a heap of good fun.
Yeah, how old are you now?
28.
28, yeah, okay. And last year, what was the year last year? When was the World Champs? Last year, yeah. And that was the first World Champs.
First team I've made since like a mountain running as a junior. About in like 8 years before.
That's incredible. And you've run at 8:27 for steeple, which is just unheard of. There's not many athletes. I'm interested to pick your brains a little bit on this really soon, because I'm always interested in like the correlation between best times and the ability to get over steeples really well. And I want to pick your brain about training and stuff like that, because I find that conversation a really interesting one, like how someone like a Yusuf Abdi becomes such an incredible steeplechaser, Sean Crichton, and I know it's a real strong man's event, but what were we talking about? We're talking about Whipper. So how did you and Whipper start doing a little bit of work together?
It's just as training mates. Currently Nick Bideau, he's managing and coaching me. But for about 10 years, Nick Bowden was, and he and Tim O'Shaughnessy, and at the time Nicky Frey, used to combine their squads on a Tuesday night, and Whippy was with Nicky Frey. And this is back in like 2012 evenings, and we were just 4:45 Tuesday night, just knocking out laps together. Whippy always says I remember doing a session with him where he dropped me in it, and I went around 8:22 the Tuesday after in 2013, and he always says like that was the moment that we ceased to do sessions together.
Well, what's he got around you? Like he would be. He's a good athlete himself.
I remember the day he ran 15:10. and a 5K. And I mean, Whippy, it's funny you mentioned steeple because he had his steeple debut in about 2014 or so, and he ended up playing a season of soccer for the winter after the experience.
Well, has he got a little bit of European blood in him? He's a good-looking unit. So.
I wouldn't know any quite on that bit of background, but no, he's a great mate.
Yeah, beautiful. So getting out there, honestly, I was pretty keen to come and join you guys today. But as I said to you before we hit record, I think last week I got a little bit excited because the fastest that I'd averaged sort of a long run over 20k was about 4:30, and then last week we were smacking out the last few k's in about. I say smacking out because to me 4-minute k pace at that time was smacking out.
We were still rolling. Like we were doing, I think I was looking at it today, we were still doing, everything was in the 350s for the last 7 or 8K.
Yeah, and is the whole group running together? Because I saw, you mentioned Jen and everyone who started out with you today, but I saw them, we were probably 15K into our run last week when we saw the group go past us. So do you start with a different start points?
No, I think last week just a few different groups started at different times, and I think we started at 8:30 last week.
Yeah,
and the others started at 9. Whereas today most of us started at 9. But it's just it just seems like a good that spot, Yarra Flats, Eaglemont. It's just a good spot for a long run.
Yeah,
and like we anything different we did today was we turned, as I said earlier, we turned left and we came back through a few hills. Amusingly watched Grego drop us up the hills, run back past us, and then gather us up on the top, and then just keep doing that in all the hills.
Is that right?
So he's certainly he's getting fit quick,
mate. So what's that? That's just a strength training in action.
Well, it's just he's just getting fit.
Yeah.
I'm watching him run away on the hills, just not stressing about it.
Yeah.
Mainly because we're racing Thursday.
Is he racing as well?
He's not, but I am, and a few other guys in the group.
Yeah. So for those of you who are overseas, we've got the Victorian State 5K Championships this Thursday night. National
champs.
Yeah. Excuse me. Far out national champ. That's right. And one of the hottest field. How many? We've got about 40 entrants in a couple of races.
Yeah. So there's 36. And for the blokes who've made the race, and they'll have an A and a B race, and the cutoff will be something like 14:05.
Yeah.
They'll split the field in half.
Yeah.
I think I'm seated ninth, a 13:58. So I've just come on the right side of it. Awesome. There's going to be some very good guys in this, which is a pretty good testament to the quality of the blokes racing at the moment. And the girls' field is even better. There's 14 girls under 15:40. And all the best girls will come over to do it, being Jess Hull, Lyndon Hall, Liz Duncan, and the like. So that's going to be, the girls are going to be more excited than the blokes. The blokes will be Stewie, and then who else can hang on?
Well, who do you think will be a big threat to Stu? Is Paddy Tiernan running?
No, so Paddy Tiernan's not running. Morgan McDonald isn't running. The other main guys, Sam McEntee, Jack Bruce. I think it's a Japanese fella, and Sean Tobin, who's running very well.
Did you mention him to me before?
I did. He's an Irish guy I trained with a bit last year overseas.
Oh, I think I saw someone in MTC post a photo of him the other day. Is he a real white unit?
Yeah, red hair, red beard. He's a good bloke.
So what's he run?
So he's run 30:56 for 5K.
Sure.
Bet me by 2 seconds in the race he did that. Actually, and he's either a sub 4 minute mile or he's just 4 flat. He's run 147. He's very legit, and he's just getting fit. So
yeah,
he'll be dangerous in the 5K.
Yeah, okay, it's going to be a great race. I'm really looking forward to it. We've got a few people walking by in and around the room that we're in at the moment. So we're recording this at an apartment block in Hawthorn, and we've got the communal terrace on level 9 is where we usually come and record these. So I came up this morning and the big table that we usually sit at, or that's usually in the room next to the table that we sit at, was taken. We've got about 15 people on the balcony.
Quite a nice family barbecue in process. So if they come through, we'll see how that goes.
But they reckon they're going to be making an appearance at some stage through the podcast, and I think there are a couple of wines in, so it could be interesting.
No, well, they might have a better chat than me, so we'll see how they go.
Mate, you're off to a good start. So is anyone, do you think, going to be a big threat to Stu?
Look, no, I think he's going to win it.
Yeah.
We all probably thought that last year when Guzman did beat him, but I think Stewie is head and shoulders above the rest right now.
Yeah, okay. And what are you hoping to get around if you run well?
Look, throwing a PB and get under 13:58, I'd be really happy. The main thing is this is going to come out after the race, so this will be interesting. But I'm ranked 9th, and there's a big cluster of guys in that 1350 to 1410 bracket, and I just want to be at the front of that cluster. And that's just try and beat as many as I can.
Yeah. Okay. So what with the nationals next Thursday? What would you say? What kind of period of training are you in at the moment? So are you planning to go to Europe? Like whereabouts are you in sort of scheduling?
This is my first race of the season.
Yeah.
Which is so amusing because it's a national championship. It's my first race of the season. But that just reflects that I had a year last year where I was going from November in my first 3K to October at World Champs. So this year I've almost had a winter from October to January where I've just been doing training, and this is my first race. And then Thursday week, I'm doing a steeplechase in Canberra. The Canberra Track Classic, and that'll be my first steeple. And that'll tell me a bit more how I'm going.
So who have you got lined up there with you?
I haven't seen the list. I know there's a couple of good Japanese guys racing. I'm sure James Nipper also race. He's run 8:32. He's very legit, like multiple national champion. Who was the best for a long time. And I'm sure a few of the Adelaide boys may join us. So I'll wait to see.
Yeah. So okay. So when you're looking at your training period leading up to next Thursday, to the national 5K, I'm interested just to pick your brain, because I know there's a lot of different approaches that people take when it comes to a race, especially your first race of the season, when it's like you're probably like training might be going well, but you're still trying to figure out exactly what kind of form you're in. Like what's the sort of last? It's Sunday the 1st of Feb, 2nd.
Sunday the 1st, I think.
Yeah, we're very early Feb. So what you had 23K this morning? So
I've had a normal. My last week's been 115K normal week.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do a tempo on Monday. So I'll do a Monday session, 20-minute threshold, and then I'm just going to jog with a few strides Tuesday, Wednesday, and race Thursday.
Yeah.
But the taper is going to be in the last 3 days. Everything up to this was normal.
Yeah.
Maybe Sunday was just a little bit slower.
And what did you guys do yesterday? Were you out at Wattle Park?
Yeah, Wattle Park, 3 laps. Humid as hell.
Well, it was humid yesterday, actually.
We'll finish the warm-up and we're all already shirts off. We're starting to struggle. And I wasn't as quick as the week before, but I still had a pretty good session. You try and progress every lap, and I went 8:10, 8:03, 8:03 with Paul Robinson and Jolthoven White.
Oh, nice.
We just sort of a nice little B group, just leaving Stewie and Geordie and everyone else on the front.
Oh, Geordie was up the front, was he?
Yep.
Mate, he's not mucking around. So did he won the 3K at?
He won the 800.
I did. What did he get around him?
I think he ran 149.
Yes.
Ish. Maybe 148.
He's gone great over the distance at the moment. I've been so impressed. I know, he was on the podcast in the early days, and I know he was always a good. He was always great over the really short stuff, 8, 15. But I've been so impressed to watch a bloke like that just take it up. Even was it Bernie that he won?
He cleaned up on all the road races. Against, for example, he kept knocking off Jack Bruce, who's very legit. So he was. Geordie had a very nice little October to December, just cleaning up on the roads.
Yeah, well, Bruce, because he's in form. Didn't he run 28:17 or 19 or something?
That's what Jack Bruce ran. Yes.
Yeah.
It's Zadapec.
Because I would have loved to see. I saw Geordie's name down on the start list for Zadapec, and I was thinking, mate, this is going to be great to watch. And I texted him because we were about to do a podcast. I said, mate, are you actually racing or are you just doing pace? And he got back going, just pace. And I was shattered because I would have loved to have seen in a race like that what he would have got around it. Why didn't you run Zadapec?
Just too early.
Yeah.
I think that was. I think Nick Bell had vaguely mentioned to me I might be pacing the thing myself, but I was very happy when I was when that call didn't come through. I was very impressed with Brett. I remember talking to Whippy about Brett after that. The way he didn't look fit yet, but he just mentally just killed himself to give the first 3K. It was very impressive to see.
When you say he wasn't fit at that stage,
he just ran a marathon. He was just coming back.
Yeah,
and he just got out there and got it done.
He was telling me he what marathon was that he ran? New York.
Yes.
And then he was saying, was it after New York, between New York and Zadapec, that he ran a 10K PB? I don't know.
I missed it if that happened.
I was actually having a chat to him before Zadapec, and I swear that's what he said, and it blew my mind. It blew my mind that he, if that's true, I might have completely misunderstood what he was saying, but so he wasn't necessarily in the best shape. His legs were just a bit flat, still trying to recover from.
Yeah, and he just got it done. Very, very, very impressive. But I remember doing a session with all the boys in Europe in May last year, and we had the session was fucked. It was 10 by 200 in 30 off 30.
Yeah.
Just to soften you up. not knowing what's next. Put your spikes on. And as a side note, me and Raina didn't have our spikes that day. And then put 1K as fast, like time trial, as quick as you could. And Brett ran 2:21, like 6 weeks after the London Marathon, which is...
Wait, 2:21 for the 1K time trial after 10 by 200?
Yeah. And then it was 10 by 600 in like 7... I don't remember the splits of them. And I got to about 6 of the 600s, and I was just in a world of pain.
Oh,
but that was one of the sessions Nick gave us that was quite cooked. But I just remember Brett doing that after the London Marathon. It was incredibly impressive.
Well, what's 2:21 pace for 800? What do you go through 800 into? Sorry to put you on the spot here.
Well, you're 9 seconds, so it's 151 to 153.
Oh my gosh!
153,
and then hold that pace for another 200 meters. And then go out and good luck with your 10 by 6.
It was, like I said, it was pretty cooked.
Some of the sessions that I've heard about, like one of the most impressive sessions that I think I've ever seen was I only saw Jack Rayner post about it, but I heard that, I think someone posted about it on behalf of Jack Rayner, but I heard Brett Robinson was in the session. It was like 3 weeks out from the New York Marathon.
Yeah.
Do you remember the session? Because I can't quite...
I don't, but I remember a few people talking about something pretty incredible they did, where it might have been 40K of running with an average pretty incredible. But I mean, some of the marathon stuff those guys do when they're just in their builds. I've never done marathon training, so I don't really understand it, but it's pretty incredible. Like they do like several by 10Ks or several by 5Ks, and just keep building the amount of race pace work they do.
Yeah, it's incredible. I think when you look at sessions like that as well, I know both the boys didn't have the best possible run at the New York Marathon in terms of their result. They really laid themselves on the line. But you think when you look at the quality of training that's going into it, if they nail it, it's going to be exciting just to be able to see exactly what they do.
No, definitely. So we've got our first guest just walking through.
We were just saying before, it's going to be interesting to find out exactly when our first guest comes through. We've got her. She's been very quiet, very polite. No,
quite okay.
We were saying before, we were trying to explain to the audience that we've got a family out there. They're going to be coming through from time to time.
All right.
Yeah, so welcome.
Thank you. Okay, good. So I'm only interrupting audio, not the...
That's right. No, we record this bloke's good-looking head at the end. Don't let us stop you.
Alrighty.
Awesome.
Thank you for the feedback.
Oh, yeah, no worries. No, we'll give you a big shout out. The poor thing, I think she got flustered as she walked out. She just tripped over the doorstep.
No, I wasn't expecting it. But,
what were we talking about? The quality of... Yeah,
just sessions.
Yeah. Mate, one thing I wanted to pick your brain about as well, which I was really interested in, and I think there's going to be a lot of people listening to the audio who were interested as well. I was really impressed last week. You were telling me, so you're a lawyer by trade. How do you go? So obviously you represented Australia, world champs last year. You're also working pretty much full-time as a lawyer. Like, how do you go with that balance? Because it's something that a lot of elite athletes, I guess, wouldn't have to deal with.
Well, you just sort of figure out what you can handle. And you sort of structure training and life accordingly. So, I wrote an article on this back in February, sort of just on how you fit it together. And I think the key thing when I wrote that and reflected on it, the key thing is just how much, just identifying your stress levels and identifying when you need to adapt things because of how you're tracking. And not sort of being too stubborn to say, this is what I'm doing, this is the program, and I'm going to do exactly what it says on paper, and not adapt that based on, if you had a horrific week at work, your Saturday session might be going to suffer, or having backups to know when. Say, for example, you've got a Thursday night threshold. You have a really hectic day of work. Do you get out late? Do you still do the threshold? But do you just do it a little bit slower if you're a bit cooked? Do you just turn it into a 7-minute run with a kick down? Do you just cut the run in half? Or do you even just take the day off and don't get up to like 8, 9 o'clock? So it's just knowing, I guess the hardest thing is just not stressing about adapting stuff when work's being too cooked.
Okay, and is that something that would have taken you a little bit of while to measure? Because I think by, I don't want to chuck you in the generalisation basket, but I think when you look at distance runners, there's almost an obsessive component that comes with the training, and I guess anyone. It's the same in the comedy scene that I found myself in the last couple of years. Is that when you really want to improve naturally, you want to make sure that you're ticking every box you possibly can. And I know myself when I was competing, at a high level, one of the things that I struggled with was exactly what you were just speaking about then. Like if the session was on paper and I wasn't hitting it because I was tired or I'd had a big day at work or I was, had other things in my life that was going on, I always found it really difficult to be able to be disciplined enough to actually adjust the session. Because in the back of my mind, I'd be like, "Oh, far out, am I just being soft?" Like, is that so? How have you navigated that sort of territory?
Well, I mean, essentially, I've got injured a couple of times and identified why I got injured. It was usually because I was just had too much on or I was just too tired, and trying to then recognise those signs earlier on so you can just adapt things before you get cooked. I remember in my first year of work, 2017. And I started work and I had nationals in 6 weeks, so I was, very stubborn. Like I want to do exactly what's on paper. And I remember I got to like the middle of the winter, and I remember one day I think I had something on that evening. It was a Thursday, but I still wanted to run twice. So I did the full threshold in the morning, like 18k, like 9k at tempo. Started at 6:15, and lunchtime rolled around, and I thought, well, might as well my double now. And at the time, like you rationalise in your head, you say, well, when I train at 9:30, then I train at 5:30. This is just like going for a double at 4:30. It's still like 7 hours apart. This will be fine. And I remember I went for the double at like 1 to 2 and felt fine. And shockingly, I had a stressy, like like a little bit of bone stress in my foot a week or so later. And I'm not saying that did it, but I think when you start doing things like that repeatedly, you're just raising the risk level, and like the hardest thing in that moment is just saying, well, I've got something on. I'm going to miss my double run. Don't stress. Like on Monday 2 weeks ago, I had a really hectic day at work, and I'd planned to run after work. I didn't get out of work till 8:30, and I just said I was pouring with rain, and I was very tempted to run home, and I just said if anyone else asked me should I run, I'd tell them no. Just miss your Monday. Don't stress. Had a good session Tuesday. Around 106k for the week with missing a day. Just don't stress about it.
Yeah, I think that's the best attitude you can possibly have.
It's the hardest thing to learn, to teach yourself, but it's just not... I think it's the real hard thing in the transition to work, because you go from being able to do everything, from being able to, like, I run twice a day, I do this, I do that, and then coming to an environment when you don't always have control over your day. So you can't always guarantee you'll be able to run, and just being able to, if you miss stuff, not stress about it. And you can't... It obviously... If you're at a job where you're constantly missing stuff, well, the job's probably not going to work with running. But if it's only occasionally, you can definitely deal with it and adapt if you just don't beat yourself up or try and make up for the occasional missed bit of running or gym.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point that you just made in terms of trying to make it up. So a lot of people in that Monday situation would go, okay, I've missed out on the Monday run. What I'll do, I'll chuck in an hour.
I did run twice on Tuesday, so I mean, I probably did.
But Tuesday's your day off work, isn't it?
So I've gone to 4 day weeks after World Champs, which is just from October to April, at which point I'm going on unpaid leave for 4 or 5 months to try and make the Olympic team.
Yeah. So what do you need to run? You need to run 8:22.
I'm going to get under 8:22 and win nationals to automatically guarantee a spot. And I've run 8:27, or I can qualify in points, in which case I pretty much have to run sub 8:30 somewhere at a meet which has a degree of points. Because the race, because if you know how the point system works, simply it's an aggregate in the steeple. It's an aggregate of your 3 best races, like quality of race and time you run, and it has to have been done the last 9 months. And I'm going to lose one race of my current best 3. I'm going to lose one, which is an 8:31 of a race I won in Sweden. So if I run a comparative result at a reasonable size meet, I will have a good chance of going on points.
Great,
but the only guarantee is run the time.
Sure. So you have to run that time. When you're around 8:27, like you feel like you got a little bit of time up your sleeve that you can knock off.
We're going to find out. I think so, because I think I've gotten fitter than then. I've done another year's training. When I ran the time, it was like a perfect night in Zagreb in Croatia when I was in a world challenge, like level below the Diamond League, and I just got to sit in until the lap to go on pace, and then just kick home past a bunch of guys and come fourth. So it was just a race that everything sort of went perfectly.
Yeah, awesome.
So a lot of it is in the steeple. A lot of it is just getting the race right, because it's not a race where you can really bank time early. It's definitely a race where if you've got momentum late, you really can take 5-10 seconds off your overall time, because you can close in 64 seconds like you did that night. It's so much better than closing in 75 or 80 seconds when you're completely cooked.
Yeah, it's
at the end.
It's almost like that marathon strength. When you speak about it, it sounds like the way people would explain running a perfect marathon is, don't run it like I did a year and a half ago, where you go in an hour 19, come home in an hour 46.
It's the hard way to do it. And I mean, like you're asking, anyone who wants to get into steeplechase, like you just need to run a lot of them for a couple of years just to get a feel for it. And I remember having, when I was like a 9-10 steeplechaser, having many nationals where we go out in 2:55, and I was just in a world of pain. Like one of my best mates I trained with, Toby O'Brien, he's actually just started as a doctor, so we're doing less together. But he, the one nationals where he should have beaten me, I got dropped with a mile to go, and I was on my own between like the best group and like the B grade boys for about 2 laps, and he caught me with 300 to go, went past me, put about 20 metres into me, and I was gone for all money. And I got to the last steeple, I thought, I could get him. And I got him on the line. And to this day, he said, I hate you. And that was his day to beat me.
Oh, no. And he hasn't got you?
No.
Oh, that's so good. That's so funny. I don't want to move too far away from this lawyer talk just for a sec, because I just find it so fascinating. I don't think there'd be many people in your position who's one of the elite athletes in the country and competing against the best athletes in the world, who are still managing like a full-time training load on top of pretty much or close to a full-time workload. Was that something that was difficult for you to make that decision that you were going to go into full-time work? Have you flirted with the idea of going down to, if it was an option, 1 or 2 days or no days for the next couple of years just to focus on your running? Or do you feel like that balance? I know Stewie was saying to me that just him being on his work placement as a teacher was actually great for him, because he didn't just sit around the house thinking about training or running all day. It's actually a nice way to break up training, which I think is, especially in the elite scene, it's quite a rare sort of mindset to have. You almost feel like you have to be 100% in, or it's not going to work. But a bloke like yourself is proving that sort of theory wrong.
Well, there's a bit to unpack there. I quite like I think the key thing is you need to be happy with what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm working at a top tier firm where I'm doing quite interesting work, and I'm also at a made in Australian team. Like, I'm very happy with how it's going. If you're spending your whole time at work thinking, I wish I wasn't working, I wish I was just running, well, it's probably not going to work for you. So it's probably your mental state is key and how it's fitting together. In regards to taking time off and just running, everyone wants to run full time, practically, financially, even just career progression wise, that isn't always feasible. And I'm fortunate. I've got a really supportive employer like Minter Ellison, who have been very, like, just to go back a step, when I first approached them in about June last year and said, look, I've just won the Oceania Championships. I'm a really good chance for world champs, and I might make the Olympic team the next year. Can I go overseas again? Can I potentially take time off next year? Can I go 4-day weeks? And they said yes to all of that. So I was in a good spot because I worked a really big year for them first, and then I almost made a team. So they were then very happy to assist. But I think I was just fortunate the way it fell together last year. The way I told them I think I'll make it, and I did make it. So it meant they were much happier to then give me 4-day weeks and support me this year.
Yeah.
The other thing I just sort of flag is you talk about. So I keep saying it's all about balance. Part of that is the simple thing of you need to run in the morning some days and in the evenings other days, or at lunchtime some days. You can't do all of one or the other. It's just finding what works. And for me, that's I run home Monday night after work with a couple of mates, do a Tuesday morning session. Wednesday I'll run after work. Thursday I'll run after work. And Friday I'll do a lunchtime run with a few mates. And it's sort of the way that fits together is I've found what works for me with work. Other people prefer to do it all in the morning or all in the evening. And it's just what can you handle, and also how long is your lunch break?
How long is your lunch break?
It's interesting. I don't think I've actually got a lunch break in my contract, but it's sort of it's counterintuitively it's the good thing about a big commercial firm is that because you work quite late a lot of the time, they don't really mind if you take a fair bit of time in the middle of the day because they know you'll be there late. So I mean, I'll regularly step out at midday and come back at 1:30 and do a long run or do a session at lunch, and no one really misses you. I find as long as you're back by 2, and no one minds because you then you're going to be there quite late getting your work done. So I suppose it's just once they know you can get everything done, they'll trust you to manage your own time quite well.
I think the law firm in general has a reputation for just brutal hours, and that from people I've sort of met who are so my best mate, his girlfriend, his wife is a lawyer. She walks me through some of the hours that she works, and I go, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? Like you have to be a certain breed to be able to relax and adjust and be happy with a workload like that. Is that something that you've had to balance, like even just switching off from the like the amount of work that there is actually to do in the law firm?
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, it's completely fucking cooked sometimes.
How much you got to do?
Yeah, like for example, in November last year, I went in every Sunday for a month, and I mean it's and that's just a month. You just got to get it done. Like, all right, you're always tired, and you just get what you can get done. But I mean, I think you just like I keep saying, you find out what you can handle. And what I like about running is it gives me a complete way out of work. Like I don't have my phone. I don't have it. No one from there can contact me, so I can finish work, have an hour run, have a good chat with a mate, and completely switch off from it. And I like the way they complement each other. And the same token, I quite like the way that I can finish a session and then go to work, and you're not thinking about your splits or what's coming up. It's a nice way to move your life. So I like the way they fit together, and I'm quite good at compartmentalising things. It's like I'm at work. If I'm at home, I'm at home. If I'm running, I'm running. I don't feel the need for the crossover. So I find that balance works for me. But it is pretty cool sometimes, and I'm quite looking forward to going overseas to be a full-time athlete with the boys and just to train and race because I mean that's just so much fun. Like you're traveling, you're training, you're seeing new cities, you're racing in new countries. And like for me, honestly, my dream for years was just to have a European season, and I get to have 2 in a row. You know what I mean? And like I made world champs, which was incredible. Like who knows what'll happen in Tokyo, but I get to go overseas and race again, and that's very exciting. What's coming? So I'm pretty lucky.
Yeah, it's so funny, man. Like I really enjoy just hearing that. I want to get back to you compartmentalizing the work that you do, but I just want to put a flag in that. But I was laughing the other day because I've been trying to organise a podcast chat with Jen Lacaz, Jen Gregson, and I called her the other day. She had a really quiet voice. She goes, "Oh, hello." I go, "Hey, sorry, Jen, it's Tyson. You're right." She's like, "Yeah." It was about 3 o'clock. She's like, "Sorry, Ryan's just napping." Talking about it, I was like, "Mate, like runners, it is the ultimate life. Like just being able to have a 3 p.m. nap and go away to Europe, travel, race, pretty much follow the summer when you're a track athlete." It's such a good sort of lifestyle, but the reality is for so many people who are at a fun run level or running their first marathon or are just trying to improve from the stage that they're at to the next stage is unless you're on huge money, like you said, the financial sort of limitations of the sport makes it really tricky. So I think just the fact that you are doing this balance is something that's going to click with a lot of the listeners. The compartmentalizing thing, it comes across when you speak. You sound like a very logical, very well thought out guy who's, I wish I had more of that, where it was I could compartmentalize that, separate that and not bring it here. Is that something that's just a part of you by personality, or is that something that you've had to develop because you've seen the benefits of being able to operate like that?
I think it's a combination. I mean, like I was saying to you before we actually put the podcast on, my boss is like he runs a high volume practice team, like in a commercial law firm. So when you have a chat to him, he expects everything to be, simple and clarity. Like, no, I don't want to know your thought process. I don't want your background. I just want to know what is the question. So I think that's had a really positive effect on the way I think, because you're able to just cut to the point quite directly and explain something simply. And that's been something I've really had to develop in the last 18 months since I've worked here. Whereas before that, when you're a grad or when you're at law school, there's probably more of a focus on, essentially rambling. Like, you're speaking to a much greater degree of detail, and you're just explaining your thought process. And that skill he's taught me of just keep it simple has been, I think, has been really good for me. And ironically, I think it's helped me a lot with bidders because, I mean, to draw a slight parallel, he's managing a large number of athletes. He's got a small amount of time, and when you do chat to him or deal with you, he wants things to be quite simple and straightforward, and just being able to simply express yourself can really help you.
I was trying to figure out who bidders were. Nick Bedeau.
Yeah,
Sorry, I was like, who's bidders?
No, Nick Bedeau. Yeah, who's coaching me. So
yeah, and he's quite a direct kind of bloke when he deals.
I think when you're managing that many people, it makes your life a lot easier when people can be simple, simplicity and clarity. Yeah, because it makes it a lot easier to look after them.
Yeah, and have you got any little strategies that you actually apply? I know meditation's a hot topic, and I'm always really interested to pick the brains of everyone that I speak to about just how do you actually find balance? And as I said before, like that I need to spend time with your boss because the specificity or whatever that you speak with is something that I struggle with. It takes me 15 minutes to get to a question because I feel like I'm doing so much background work just to be able to get to it.
It didn't happen straight away. I had a few chats with him. He's like, no, stop. I just come back when you got it straightforward.
It's so funny, mate. Here's my laughing and bloody blown up. Sorry, everyone's ears.
We can edit that out.
Yeah, we can edit that out. We'll just turn it right down. I always say I'm going to edit stuff out and I get too lazy and just post it. So I reckon this chick from level 6 is going to be on the podcast and you're also going to have your eardrums abused.
Look, we haven't gone too far yet. So,
where was I going, man? I was talking about I ramble. You're to the point, mate. My wife would love it if I could just learn to just be direct because the amount of bloody waffle that goes on in our household just to get to, sorry, babe, I haven't done the dishes yet. Is quite distracting. Is it a difficult thing to learn? Was it hard the first couple of months?
Yes, it's a very different way of thinking. But I mean, it's just, you're a product of your environment. So I mean, I'm in a team where that's, if you're going to chat to the top of the team, they don't have much time. So you've got to. I suppose it just means when you go and speak to someone, and I think I found this in law especially, people are a lot more willing to help you if you've clearly thought about the issue. Try to think about a solution, and you come to them with, this is my proposal, as opposed to coming to them and saying, this is fucked. What can we do? And so they don't want to see your thought process. They want you to have clearly had a think about it and tried to help yourself first. I think people are much more willing to help others who have clearly already had a go themselves. And I remember I used to work in the library at law school when I was a student, and people who'd come to you who'd clearly tried to help themselves first, you just subconsciously you're probably much more willing to help than someone who just said, I can't find this, where is it?
Yeah.
So I guess part of it's a product of this job, and part of it is probably just other life experiences.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. That's what I was sort of getting to with the any practices and things that you have. So obviously you're a product of your environment. You've learned it through there. In terms of just, I know the amount of time that it takes to be an elite runner is high. The amount of time that it takes to operate as a good lawyer is high. Like, is there time for much on the outside of that? What do you do in your spare time when you're not at work and you're not on the track?
Well, you just, I think that it's just sort of making quality over quantity. You don't have that much time, so the time you have, you've got to ensure it's well. I spend some of the time with my girlfriend. I try and catch up with mates. I try and leave I try and leave Tuesday evening free every week, so that I can. So I've always got an evening where I can catch up with friends if plans get made, and you just try and enjoy your downtime on the weekends when you're not going to work. So I like to get back to my folks. I'm from a farm in northeast Victoria. I try and get back to see my folks and get out of Melbourne where I can, because I find that gives you a good chance to reset.
Oh, nice.
And just get out of the city.
I see you're a farm boy.
I was there till I was finished school there. Yeah.
Gee, which part of Victoria is that?
So anyone who's been to Falls Creek, you go through like Wangaratta and then Myrtleford on the way, and they've got a farm just in that area in the King Valley.
Man, I used to. My cousin is a bull rider at random.
A bull rider.
Bull rider, yeah. So he's right into his rodeo, and I still remember 1999 going to Myrtleford for the annual rodeo festival that they had up there.
Actually,
yeah, it's a beautiful part of the world, though, man. It's not. So, how have you found that adjustment? So you're a city. You couldn't be more of a city boy right now.
No, I think I actually had a girl at work ask me, like she had a guess about what school I went to and said something horrific like Scotch or something. So I've certainly not quite, you said, I mean, I've been only in Melbourne 10 years.
Yeah.
And I mean, your whole life's here now, all your mates are here, your girlfriend's here. So it does certainly, like I say, you're a product of the environment. But I just am, I mean, you grow up in the country, you don't appreciate it till you leave. But I'm lucky I get to go back on occasion and they've still got the farm there. So it's, as you say, it's a beautiful part of the world to go back to. And it's got really awesome trails as well. So I've got all the farm trails, and I've got like state pylon access roads as well. And so I've got like a 24k loop at home, my long run, and lots of good hills.
And that's all on trails.
Yeah, and lots of good hills and places to run.
Mate, that's a runner's dream. When's training camp going to be taking place up there?
Well, I've gone back with the mates a few times on weekends, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's good, man. No, beautiful, but no plans to get back into the country anytime soon. Then you've got your foundation here now. Then
no. I mean, if I wasn't running, I don't know how long I'd be in Melbourne, but I'll be in Melbourne for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. Okay. No, that'd be good, man. It must feel like you're going home then when you get up to Falls Creek. It was a bit of a shamble, bloody Falls Creek this year, wasn't it?
Well, thankfully I wasn't going. I was always planning to stay in Melbourne and train, partially because I've used up all my leave. On overseas trips, so a Falls Creek training camp would have been a stretch too far. But I mean, it's just. I mean, I remember chatting to Dad in like November, and he just said the bush is that dry, throw a match out, it'll blow up.
Gee.
And I mean, it was always going to come. It was just a question of where and how bad. And it was pretty horrific from all reports.
So how did your family go with the fires then? It went too close for comfort.
It missed them by like 6k.
Oh,
so it sort of jumped the valley near them and then went up into the pines, into the hills. So they more had a fire near them for a week or two, which is a bit stressful. But they weren't ever directly under threat.
Okay, so they weren't evacuated or?
They were evacuated one day and then they went back. And I went back for a couple of days to help just get the place ready if it did come. But they've got a pretty good setup there. They've had it come through before in 2006 and they were fine. They've got like a sprinkler system over the whole property, and they've got everything was cleared and dozer line around the place. So they're as ready as you can be. But if you get a bad day, I mean, you're pretty cooked. So it's just, I mean, I think in the time they've been there, it probably comes through every maybe 10 years. It comes through.
Is that right?
On average, like definitely it'll come through every 15. So it'll come through twice in the time you live there.
Yeah.
So it's just it's just the nature of being in the country in certain spots.
Yeah. Okay. So how have they found the process, like the running process that you're in? Like the idea of running in Tokyo this year would be something that's exciting not only to you as an athlete but to your family.
Well, they came over to Doha and they had a ball and they loved being there and got to go to the athletics every day and spent some great time with them. My mum ran a 10th Melbourne Marathon last year.
Oh, did she?
So I sort of got into it through her.
She probably kicked my ass.
I mean, she was. It's funny because you talk about a blow up, but I was watching Mum's live splits, and she's run. I mean, she ran like 3:40 odd back when she was before kids, but she ran 5:19, and she got to about 28k at about 6.5 minute k pace. And then really got ugly, and she had I think she had a 11-minute Ks for a 5k stretch from like 35 to 40. And I'm watching this live split coming and thinking, dear God. It was her 10th. She's a Spartan, but I don't think she'll do another one.
Oh, dude, I'd so sympathise with her. It was funny that live split is like a blessing and a curse because I had a few of my family members and a couple of my best mates down there cheering me on. And the first half, they were like, holy crap, Tice is in form. We didn't realise. And at about 22k, mate, the people on this podcast would be sick of hearing me talk about this, but it got ugly real quick. So far out. Anyone? I have a whole new appreciation for what hitting the wall is. Man, I can't believe I just looked at the time. I can't believe we were talking for 45 minutes. The time flies when you're having fun. One of the questions I wanted to ask you is I'm always really interested as well in the strength component of running. Like a lot of people speak about the running component of running naturally. But are you spending much time in the gym and spending much time just doing strength work to support?
Yeah, I go twice a week.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate.
Oh, you're amazing. So the
We've
family.
just some food.
Yes. It's just that you guys have made a hot little appearance on this podcast.
Shit, sorry guys.
And the fact that you just offered us chicken is
There's like scraps of slow cooked beef, and then so if you want some, you're welcome to help yourself. We just put the so it's off there.
and onion as well, mate.
Yeah.
I'm going to do podcasts in this room way more often.
Yeah.
I didn't know this was on the agenda, so we've done well.
Well,
Good job.
I had no idea either.
Good job. Well, enjoy.
Thank you so much. Well, it will be 15 more minutes or so.
All good.
Hey, thank you.
Where were we?
Speaking about strength training, so how good's that? I feel like that was almost a natural plug for the protein chicken. Just come through right.
Look, it timed it well. I do it twice a week. Like after a Tuesday and a Saturday session. The bloke who coached me before, Nick Bowden. He's got a business, Run Ready, which is probably more focused on on children's programs.
Okay,
but he's also got a group with a lot of legit runners, including Whitney Sharp, who racing the 5K.
Oh yeah,
and he's got his own gym, and I go there, and he does my gym program Tuesday and Saturday, and you sort of you go through different stages of emphasis depending on the type of the stage. Oh.
I'm not laughing. So this is so we've just been offered chicken, and he would have been 75.
Yeah, no, quite an old fella.
He's just tried to walk in the door from outside, and he just stacked it right in front of him. I'm laughing because he's okay. But bloody hell,
it was bad. It was bad enough we stopped the podcast and went to check on him. It wasn't
Oh my gosh, dude! What have we got about? We got about 10 more minutes. I want to keep talking to you, but mate, let's try again. We're talking about the strength component of your training. They look like they've settled out there now.
Yeah, no more interruptions for at least 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's right.
Strength. You mean? So I've told you do it 2 days a week, like on session days. That's more a choice. Practically, the way my week fits together, it's easy to go on a Tuesday, my day off, post Tuesday session, and go on a Saturday straight after the hill session. Mm-hmm. I know there's some people that like to do all their gym on session days. Some like to do it on their easy days. I think it's more what works for you. And I've just found 2 days a week is where I can always do it. And that's how I put it together. And
is that quite heavy work that you're doing in the gym, or because one of the things that even me, who's been so involved in athletics for a long time, when I was competing, the gym component of my training was something I skipped over pretty regularly. Like I'd do a lot of body weight exercises, I'd stretch regularly, but I don't think, even though I was doing it, I don't think I really appreciated the value that came with that. So are you lifting heavy weights, or is it mostly body weight, or a combination?
No, I'm lifting a bit, but it's not. No one who knows me would say I'm anything but quite slight. So I wouldn't say I'm lifting heavy stuff. A lot of it's quite steeple specific, with a lot of foot strength and like sort of steeple drills, and a lot of it's just not quite balance work, but just strength in different positions when you're just trying to get a lot stronger on one leg or the other.
Okay. Before we wrap it up, I just wanted to pick your brain a little bit on the steeple component. You touched on it just then. What are for a steeplechaser? I don't know what you would compare a 3K steeple to. Like the strength that you need for that maybe is a little bit closer to a 5K runner. Is it? But a lot of technique work and stuff, or like
people come at it from different ways. Some are really good 5K guys, some are good 15 guys. Some are just good at steeple and nothing else. I think you just need to race a lot of them, and you need to do quite a lot of steeple specific work if you haven't done one before and you want to come and do one. Because I don't know if you've done one before.
When I was young, but it wasn't impressive.
But most people just go and do. They're quite good at. Say they've run quite a good 3K and they plug that into the data, and they say, well, that means I can run 35 seconds slower for 3K steeple. That's it. That'd be a really good time. And they do one, and it's not that easy, and they really struggle. But it's the sort of event that I think you just need to do quite a number of them over a year or over a season or two, and you can get quite good at it. It's a hard event to just jump in one and do well. So it's a combination of race a lot of it, do quite a lot of hurdle drills and sort of specific work, more just on technique. But honestly, a lot of it's just race a lot of them and get fit.
Yeah.
I'm now at the point I really don't do much steeple-specific training anymore. I just like to race a couple, because I find it's very hard to simulate the feeling in the last lap of last K of a steeple in training. It's much easier just to race a couple to get that feeling.
Yeah.
I like to maybe the week before a race do a threshold or do an easy run and finish it with 5 water jumps. So 5 200 over a water jump where you're practicing going over fast, going over slow, and because the water jump is the one thing that the first one you do in a race is quite a shock. So I think that's something that's quite good to work on your technique.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I'm also lucky that I'm right-footed, but I've always jumped off my left, so I can do all my steeples off either foot.
Oh, great.
So when I go into a jump, I never really plan which foot I'm going to go off. I just go off whichever gets there first.
Yeah.
So that makes it a bit easier.
Yeah, Sean Crichton said something to me. I think it was when I
mean, he's probably more an expert than me. He's the Australian record holder.
Far out, but his career's done. I'm excited to see what your final PB is because I reckon it's 11 seconds.
Yeah,
it's 11 seconds. So it's definitely not off the cards.
I'm like 9 full time. He's first.
Yeah, yeah. But one of the things that he said to me that I can imagine is so valuable for a steeplechaser is. He noticed a lot of the time a steeplechaser would be 20 metres out and they would start adjusting and start fidgeting and start trying to just manipulate their step and lose maybe, I don't know if it was a second or half a second or whatever, just in that lead up. But the momentum that you would lose in the lead up to that was significant. So it wasn't just the half a second before you get to the hurdle, but it was maybe another half a second just trying to readjust your stride after it.
It's very true. Like I always think you need to attack the water jump and it's worth spending energy attacking it than losing energy then saving the energy from attacking it, but then losing momentum coming out of it. So attacking. I mean, one of the most enjoyable things to do is to clear the entire water jump plus the water.
Yeah. I was going to ask you if you could do that.
I've done it a couple of times.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing too is just it's very different doing a water jump when you're in the front than doing a water jump when you're stuck in the middle of a pack. And that's a different skill because you can't really pick your run up. You almost just need to just relax and sort of attack it very late. And I think that's one bit of advice for when you first get into a steeplechase. It's all easy to be in training just doing barrier work, but when you're in the middle of a pack doing barrier work and you don't see the barrier until quite late, that's a different skill, and it's just something you've got to get comfortable racing a lot to be comfortable in a pack.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, we'll when are you leaving for Europe?
I don't know yet. I don't know yet.
Okay.
I mean, I'm on leave from start of after nationals from April, so I gather it will be in April, May.
Oh, you just counting down the days.
But I'm just I mean, I don't think I'm gonna do a third one of these seasons. So I'm looking forward to this one.
Oh, really? What, you think this might be the last time that you head over to Europe? And
I'm not I don't know, but I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, awesome. All right, yeah, very well. I feel that's quite a political answer.
Well, it's also a case that you don't quite know how far you can push the envelope of work.
Yeah, sure, that makes sense. And considering that the career as a lawyer is going to go probably 40 years beyond your running career, it's probably a good move to make on your behalf.
Well, it's just as I say, it's I'm excited to go to Europe and race this year. I certainly don't think I'll be done after that, but I'm not worried too much after that. I'll worry about that when I get back.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, I'm really excited to watch the progress of your season. I've got you picked for this Olympic team, mate. We'll have to touch base later in the year once you're back from Europe.
We'll see how I go on the 5K. I mean, if that's a shocker, I mean, we'll see how we go next week. But no, happy to chat again.